Hello everyone, this is Amaar Zaidi from second year MBBS, and today I'm going to be doing a video on lung volumes and lung capacities. Now, to understand lung volumes, you need to understand what spirometry is. It basically requires a clinical tool known as a spirometer. And through a spirometer, you can actually measure how much air you breathe in and out and can ensure, and it's used to check there's proper functioning of lungs. It can also detect certain diseases, like if you have a respiratory lung disease or an obstructive lung disease, that can be determined through a spirometer. Anyway, so we're gonna be going over this graph, but personally I think it's much better that you learn how to draw this graph, what each volume means, what each capacity means. I'm gonna go over that. Anyway, let's get right into it. So this is the graph I'm going to be using Microsoft Paint. Now, this is an x-axis and y-axis. Normally, by principle, it's supposed to be time on the x-axis, but it doesn't matter for this one. On the y-axis, there is volume, so I'm going to write this down. So the first lung volume that I'm going to go over is tidal volume, and tidal volume looks like this. It's start right here, goes like this. It's in this boundary. This is tidal volume. And what is tidal volume? It's basically the amount of air that's inhaled or exhaled during a normal respiratory cycle. It's the air you breathe in and out at rest, right? So it's approximately 300 to 500 ml. Make sure you write this down. The next, the next volume I'm going to go over is inspiratory reserve volume. Let me actually cut some of it out so it's much easier. Okay, the rubber is not working. Key, never mind. Okay, so here's how you draw it. It goes beyond this boundary and tops up like this. So this part right here is inspiratory reserve volume. And what is inspiratory reserve volume? It's basically the amount of air that can forcibly be inhaled after normal tidal volume. What that means is it's the amount of air that's gained from outside during deep breathing. When you deep breathe, so there's an excess amount of air that goes into your lungs. This is what IRV is. Now, what is expiratory reserve volume? There it is. Expiratory reserve volume goes like this. This is this lower part, this part of the graph. This is expiratory reserve volume. I should actually extend the lines. This is expiratory reserve volume. And expiratory reserve volume is the amount of air that can be exhaled forcibly. Like you can deeply breathe in and you can deeply breathe out. That's the amount of air that you forcibly release from your lungs. The normal value is around 700 to 1200 ml. Yeah, that's expiratory reserve volume. And what's residual volume? So it kind of has nothing to do with the graph, with any of the lines. This is the residual volume. This right here, RV. And then this is the amount of air that remains in your lungs after a maximum amount of exhalation. Not, not all of the air in your lungs is removed during a normal exhalation or during a forced exhalation. This is necessary to maintain the pressure in your lungs. And here's the thing, this respiratory residual volume cannot be measured directly with a spirometer. It is, however, calculated. When you get, and I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Anyway, what else is left? Yeah, that about covers all the volumes. Now let's look at capacities. So the first capacity I'm going to go over is inspiratory capacity. This looks like this. It's this range. This is the inspiratory capacity. It's basically the sum of inspiratory reserve volume and tidal volume. So it's basically the maximum amount of volume of air that can be inhaled from a resting state. So the formula for this is IC is equal to IRV plus PV, that's tidal volume. So yeah, total lung capacity, well, not, it's a no-brainer here. Here it is. It's from here to the absolute end of this. Total lung capacity. It's the sum of all the regular volumes. We don't count capacities in, but you can if you want to. But yeah, it's the sum of all the four primary lung volumes. So that includes IRV, ERV. Might as well just write it down. IRV plus ERV plus RV. Yeah, so it's the maximum amount of volume of air in the lungs, and it may be increased in patients with obstructive defects such as emphysema, and decreased in restrictive abnormalities like chest wall abnormalities like kyphoscoliosis. Now let's talk about vital capacity. Now, vital capacity is from here to here. So it's basically the sum of IRV, TV, and ERV. Let me write down vital capacity. Graph's getting a little congested, but hope you understand. It's like the total amount of air exhaled and inhaled. So yeah, its normal value is around 4,800. Yep. And basically it indicates the ability to breathe deeply and cough, reflecting inspiratory and expiratory muscle strength. Is yeah. And the last one we're going to be going over is functional residual capacity. Now what is that? It's basically from here to here. This is FRC. So it's basically the sum of ERV and RV. And I basically mentioned that you can't measure ERV residual volume. This is how, since you can't measure it, you can calculate it. Yeah. And normal value is, so okay, sorry, what is FRC? It's basically the amount of air remaining in the lungs at the end of a normal exhalation. It's calculated by adding together residual volume and expiratory reserve volume. Its normal value is around 1800 to 2200. Yeah, sorry, I didn't write about vital capacity formula. There it is. I see. Wait. I mean, you have to write about the volume, sorry. It's TV plus IRV plus ERV. And that about covers lung volumes and lung capacities. In Zaudin, they kind of ask questions like, basically, they give you certain of these volumes or capacities, and then they ask you to deduce the other ones. You can either use the formula or you can just draw out the graph. It just takes like 20 seconds to draw it out. I just took time just for the sake of explanation or sake of clarity. Anyway, all right, thanks guys. Bye.